So the next thing we're going to talk about are the cranial nerves. And so you can find your cranial nerves on page 289, and then they have a list of their functions on page 290 and page 291. And there's several models you can use to identify the cranial nerves. The first model that I want to take a look at is the regular brain model. So all the brains in labs should have the cranial nerves. Some of them look better than the other. I'm using this one because this is one of the newer models, so usually they're all intact. So the first cranial nerve is the olfactory bulb. And if you remember from the bones in the skull, the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone is where this olfactory bulb would be sitting. You follow the olfactory bulb down, you have the olfactory tract. Okay. And then here, I'm going to move in a little closer so you can see. This is the optic nerve. So what they've done is they've cut it off, but really the optic nerve would extend on out and connect to the eyeball. So this is the optic nerve. When I move down here, you can see how it kind of creates this little crisscross there. So the center of that crisscross is the optic chiasma, and as it moves back, it's called the optic tract. These two little bellies sitting in there, those are the mammillary bodies. And then we move into the rest of our cranial nerves that are going to be found on the pons and the medulla oblongata. So the next one in line, which is cranial nerve 3. So the third cranial nerve is called the oculomotor. So you have these little ones here that come out from the center. Those are the oculomotor nerves. Cranial nerve 3, and then cranial nerve 4 is on the side. It comes out from behind the pons, and so this little one here, and then you have the other one right there. Those are called the trochlear nerves. So that's cranial nerve number 4 is the trochlear nerve. The next set of nerves are these larger cranial nerves sitting here. There's one on each side. Those are cranial nerve number 5. Those are the trigeminal. Now the rest of the cranial nerves are found either between the pons and the medulla or directly on the medulla oblongata. So the ones in the center, these two here, these are cranial nerve 6. Those are called abducen. And then kind of sandwiched over here, and you see they have the Roman numerals down here for you. Cranial nerve number 7 is called your facial nerve, and so that's this one here. Then you have cranial nerve number 8, which is sandwiched in there. That's the vestibulocochlear nerve, and so that's part of your balance and hearing nerve. And then if you kind of move around here a little bit, you see that you have one sitting up here in the back, which is going to be your cranial nerve number 9, which is called your glossopharyngeal. Next to the glossopharyngeal, you have cranial nerve number 10. And so cranial nerve number 10 is called your vagus nerve. And you'll see vagus nerve over and over again because the vagus nerve innervates with the heart, a lot of your regulatory systems. So it's going to allow for excitation and relaxation, speeding up or slowing down the heart rate. So that's cranial nerve number 10, which is your vagus nerve. Then you have cranial nerve number 11, which is your accessory. And so your accessory is found right here. So this is your accessory nerve down here. And then sitting on top of the medulla oblongata is cranial nerve number 12. And so cranial nerve number 12 is the hypoglossal nerve. So this model is nice because it's already got the Roman numerals on it. Now please note that on the lab practical, I will not accept Roman numerals. You will need to be able to recognize and learn the names. Now another model that I like to use is this model here. And I know it looks really foreign, but what it does is it starts here. These are the optic nerves. So the olfactory nerves are not there because the frontal lobe is gone. So what you have then, let me move in a little closer here. These are the optic nerves, and if I turn the model to the side here like that, you can see where you have your optic nerves there, and then this part that's extending back there on the side, I think, what number is that, 40, 43 or something, 45? That number right there, that tract right there, that's the optic tract. And so in the center here, where this structure, which is this pink structure, is your pituitary gland, and you have the infundibulum that's holding the pituitary gland, that is connected at where the optic chiasma would be located. And so I kind of turn it around there so that you can see. Okay? So then when we go from there and we start looking at the cranial nerves, so the optic nerve is cranial nerve number 2. Sitting down in there, that little white piece that's wrapping around from the inside out, that is going to be your oculomotor nerve, which is your cranial nerve number 3. So then that means that this nerve here that's coming from the side, that nerve there is going to be your cranial nerve number 4, which is your trochlear nerve. So that's the trochlear nerve. This is cranial nerve number 5, which is your trigeminal. And see, trigeminal is very large because it's 3 nerves put together there. So that's the trigeminal nerve. So then the rest of the cranial nerves, as I said before, are located on the pons or the medulla oblongata. So you have your abducens, which are these 2 cranial nerves here. And then once I turn it off around here to the side, you have this one here. That is going to be cranial nerve number 7, which is your facial nerve. And then this one here is cranial nerve number 8, which is your vestibulocochlear nerve. So then this little nerve here that you see sitting there, that is going to be your cranial nerve number 9, which is glossopharyngeal. This one here is the vagus nerve. And then this one that's way down here, that is going to be the accessory nerve. So then this one that's sitting right here on top is then the hypoglossal. So let me show it to you guys again. So you have the abducens, you have facial, you have the vestibulocochlear. This little one sitting there by itself, right there, that is going to be your glossopharyngeal. Your vagus, this is the accessory down here, and then this one sitting right here, that's going to be the hypoglossal.